Hi, church. We are joined by Gaby McEwan today.
Hey, Sonia.
How are you?
Hey, great, thanks. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you and your beautiful family have been part of our church family for many years now.
For 6 years is Rodney and myself and my two boys, Alec and Michael. Alec is 22 and Michael is 20.
And you guys run a family business together?
We do. We run a real estate company and do property management and have a number of agents working for us as well. So very busy.
And you guys have been on a little bit of a journey last year with Rodney's health. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, really a massive roller coaster. Rodney ended up very, very ill, desperately ill. We'd just come back from a trip to Europe and he collapsed with what's called a stage 4 subarachnoid aneurysm on his brain, which was a burst aneurysm on his brain. Normally the fatality rate is very high and he was critical for quite a while.
So obviously that was quite a journey. He's healthy now, but that was quite a journey, wasn't it, from those early days on the day that it happened?
It was, indeed.
How long was he in hospital in total?
In total, I think it was 55 days.
Yeah.
And he is still an outpatient, so he's still consults with them, but yes, he's so much better now, thank God.
Oh, that's so good. So tell us what was going through your mind when it was playing out, like on that first day?
It was just a horrific time where I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. What I did was I made a decision that I wasn't going to Google anything. I only Googled it probably about a month ago and started doing research about what really had happened, and that was a good thing to do. And I went into what I called the faith zone, which was basically like a little bubble where I'd surround myself with just trusting that God was in control and that there was nothing I could do to change anything other than pray and trust God, and that I would choose faith and not fear. And that was really key in all this, is that there's a decision that you can either be very fearful and scared, or you can say, no, I'm going to be brave and I'm just going to go and I'm going to turn to faith and I'm going to trust God that while he's alive and while he's breathing, that there is hope, especially when he was on life support for so long and in a coma and all that stuff.
Yeah. So tell us how you went to that faith zone. Like, how did you find it in you? We often talk about, finding the peace of God and finding Jesus in the midst of the storm. How did you do that?
I think you've got to make a decision that this is what you're going to do. You have to reach out, you have to grab hold of the hand of Jesus and ask him to give you the courage and the faith that you need to get you through these moments. And he's there waiting, but you've got to reach out to him first and you've got to make that decision. So we made a decision around the hospital bed, and I said to the nurses and doctors, I need you to respectfully never discuss the word die, serious, grave, or any concerns that you have, and any meetings we have, we need to go to another meeting room. And they were very respectful of that, and they really were fighting with us that he would live. So I think that was really key, is choosing to have faith and choosing to speak life, and just to know that there's nothing more you can do other than pray. If you're praying and you're trusting God, you're doing your bit already.
And obviously you were praying yourself. You had people praying for him.
Had the whole church praying on their knees. Rodney had to have a procedure to stop the bleed in the brain, and he could have had a massive operation, but thank God the first procedure worked. It nearly didn't, but they went back one last go, and the words were like a miracle. And I remember coming to the church the day after it had happened on the Sunday morning before I saw Rodney.
Because you were in church.
I was in church
throughout this entire
period. The whole thing, and that really helped me. And the church family were incredible. They provided me with love, support, meals. They made beds for me. The practicality and the practical support they gave me was just next level. Honestly, it was incredible. There were so many people. There was a meal train, which beautiful Erica organised, and that made such a difference, so that I knew that I was being taken care of and nourished and looked after practically, and that enabled me to get on, run the business, which I had to then run, which had its own set of problems, and all the other stuff behind the scenes. And there's so much that I think people can learn just from being practical and kind.
Yeah, because quite often people don't know what to say or do. It's such a beautiful thing when the community gathers around you when you're in that place of crisis, but sometimes people don't know what to say or do. So you mentioned a meal train. What did you find helpful when you were in this zone?
Just knowing that was one less thing for me to think about, knowing that I'd get home and there'd be not just food that I didn't want, but actually a delicious meal, lovingly prepared, waiting for me, and that I felt like carried. I literally felt like I was being carried along.
So beautiful. And I want to thank Erica, beautiful
Yes.
Erica, who's probably watching with her family this morning, and all of our beautiful church members that supported them in this way. It really means a lot.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It made such a difference.
Yeah. So I know it's really hard to see sometimes when you're going through something, but when you're looking back, and I guess there were a lot of miracles along the way, but when you're looking back, did you see anything positive come out of this situation?
So many lessons, and well, first of all, what really matters is your relationship with God, and the fact that you can surrender things to Him and give up the most important things to Him to take care of was a huge thing for me. And secondly, that there's people around you that will love and support you, and you just got to tell them how they can. And there were some beautiful signs we had. There was a rainbow every single day that he was in intensive care. There were birds singing very loudly outside his hospital bed when he was in ICU, where I got told off by the nurses to keep my phone down, and it was birds. And they said, we don't hear birds. This is a sterile environment, not where God is. Where God is, there's beautiful signs and really wonders that show that He's in control. And just so much, and we had the privilege to become close to a guy in hospital who'd had a stroke at the age of 38. His wife and son stayed with myself for a little bit, and then they came back a second time. And then we also had the privilege to form a friendship with him, and which enabled Steve to go and visit him in hospital, and also lead him in a prayer to accept Jesus Christ as his Lord and Saviour, which has made such a difference in his life.
That?
So.
Yeah.
You know, there's always beauty in the ashes. There's always something, you know, that you can learn from every situation. And some, you know, what the enemy means for evil, God can turn around for good.
So
you know,
beautiful.
even with the current crisis going on in the world.
Yeah, so good. So I've heard you mention a couple of times about what really, you know, through all of this, learning about what really matters in life.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, I think, look, you don't sweat the small stuff. You know, it's all about perspective. And when you've gone through something like what I've gone through, you know, little things don't really matter. They really don't matter at all. In the scheme of things, all that matters is that you've got your family close, that you know that if something has to happen to you, you know basically that you're covered by a relationship with Jesus Christ. Which is most important. You've got your family with you, and really that you've got a roof over your head, and nothing else actually matters, because the rest is just details. You know, that's all that matters. You know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Gaby, for sharing your story. We just love you guys. We love Rodney, and just so wonderful to see him
It's
walk out
amazing.
that hospital door. You had a little story about that.
I
and
did.
the shirt.
I said to Steve, I've got an image of him in my mind walking out of the hospital wearing green.
This is when he was in
In a coma.
In a coma.
Where there was like no hope,
Yeah.
really, and not much hope. And he was a very grey colour, didn't look good. And Steve said, yes, Gaby, we're going to stand on that. We're going to fight the good fight of faith and all that stuff. And then I delivered a whole load of, obviously, clothes. Every day I'd bring him clothes, and he had a series of outfits. And he happened to pick the green T-shirt. The day that I picked him up, he was ready to go. He was raring to get home. He couldn't wait to get out that hospital. And he walked out wearing his green shirt. And I went, this is amazing.
Awesome. So good.
You know, you just got to hang on to God, and hang on to those pictures in your mind, and just have faith when you go through dark days, and just take each day at a time and know that God gives you enough light just for that moment, and then worry about tomorrow.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gaby.